Good evening, everyone. Hello, hello. How is everyone tonight? Whoa, don't want to knock my camera down. How is everyone tonight? Hello, Mary Jo. Hello, hello. I am so looking forward to see what's going to happen in chapter 23. And 24. I think I said 24 or 25 earlier today, but that's not what it is. It is 23 and 24. Hello, Mary Jo. I hope you're doing good tonight. You're probably on your TV, so you can't really talk or type. That's understandable. And we'll wait a few minutes and then we'll go ahead and say our prayer for tonight and get started in chapter 23. I hope everyone is having a good evening. Okay, let's go on with our prayer. Today's prayer for our book read is, Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Matthew 5:8. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Matthew 5:8. What an awesome mini prayer for tonight. Now let's get started in chapter 23. Libby's doorbell chimed, and she leaped off the sofa and hurried to open her front door. Robin stood on the other side, looking as sad and depressed as Libby herself felt. Friday night, and the rest of the world was out partying and laughing, while the two of them were alone. No men, no dates, no fun. Robin was dressed in an old college sweatshirt and jeans, head hanging low and shoulders slouched forward. She looked like she had lost her best friend. She had a sack in her hand. I brought some DVDs, old movies, she muttered. Libby shook her head. She refused to fall prey to feeling sorry for herself. She still hadn't run into Philip and hadn't yet worked up the courage to contact him directly. Robin was in the dumps. Although she wasn't open about her reasons, but Libby was smart enough to read between the lines. We are not going to sit at home and have a pity party. We're not. Good evening, Paula. That's okay. That's okay. Glad to see you made it, though. No way. Libby had a plan. We're finished indulging in ice cream. We work way too hard to burn calories to give in to that sort of self-destructive behavior. I've seen every sappy chick flick a dozen times, and I'm sick of watching other women get the guy while I'm lonely and depressed. Robin's mouth sagged open as if she wasn't sure she recognized the woman in front of her. Seeing her friend's response boosted Libby's confidence. We are not going to sit here and feed each other's tissue after tissue while we lament our sorry state of love lives. We aren't? No. Libby insisted, spreading her feet apart and planting her hands on her waist, elbows jutting out. Okay, Robin returned, sounding apprehensive. What is the wildest thing you can think of doing? I mean, something that would be completely out of character for both of us. Robin's face scrunched up as she gave the question some deep thought. I don't know. Pick up men in a bar? Libby shook her head. No, men don't interest me at this moment. Well, other than one man, Robin corrected. She held up a hand, stopping her fellow attorney. I don't want to think about Philip, or deal with any other men either. You know what the craziest thing I can think to do would be? Robin was barely in the front door. I'm afraid to ask. Don't be. I want us to go out and get tattoos. Silence followed, and then Robin blurted out, Are you nuts? Yes, I want us to get tattoos. No way. Libby wasn't taking no for an answer. It doesn't have to be any place that shows. You want to get a tattoo on your butt? Or on the small of my back, she said, thinking out loud. No, not me, Robin argued, shaking her head for emphasis. You can if you want, but there is no way I'm letting anyone repeatedly poke me with a needle. Libby could see Robin wasn't game. Okay, fine, but I need you to come with me. You're serious. She seemed to find it hard to believe Libby would actually do something like this. It was out of character, but Libby was more than ready for something different, something that would crack open this shell that she had been living in for the majority of her life. Straightening slightly, she announced, I'm doing it, with or without you. Robin's eyes rounded. Don't let me down, Libby pleaded. The least you can do is come with me. Okay, I'll watch. But that's all I intend to do. Libby grabbed her purse and took her friend by the arm, resolutely leading her outside. They found a tattoo parlor next to the porn shop. Despite its location, it looked clean. Robin and Libby had to practically drag her along. You need to think this through more carefully, Robin warned. I'm finishing being the nice girl, Libby countered, sidestepping her friend. The shop next door is selling sex toys. Good. We might learn a trick or two. Robin snorted. Like, that's going to do either of us any good. Your point is well taken, counselor. Undeterred, Libby entered the parlor. The tattoo artist, a woman, could see they were both nervous. After a few questions, the artist suggested they take time to think it over. See, Robin whispered heatedly, even the tattoo lady recognizes we aren't her usual customers. You need to consider this very carefully. Libby had already made up her mind, but she wasn't going to do anything rash. They took the other woman's advice and found a nearby bar. A bar is no place to make this kind of decision, Robin argued, nearly shouting to be heard above the loud noise. Sure is, Libby said. It isn't like there's a church in the neighborhood. 3 tequila shots later, Robin was convinced they each needed a tattoo. You're sure about this? The woman artist asked when they staggered into the parlor an hour later. Both of you? I thought it was only one of you earlier. I want one too, Robin insisted, holding up her index finger. Only, I don't know of what. The woman grinned. Okay, ladies, you got it. Libby went first. The tequila had done the trick. She chose a lovely butterfly for the small of her back, gasped at the price, and paid it anyway. What she didn't anticipate was the pain. A needle repeatedly jabbed in such a sensitive area was a whole lot more uncomfortable than she had ever imagined. Libby resisted the urge to shout out, I'll talk, for fear of frightening off Robin. Actually, her friend surprised her. She never thought Robin would be game for this. How was it? Robin asked when Libby was through. She smiled weakly and joked. I should have had 4 tequilas. Robin didn't seem to take nearly as long as Libby. She hadn't shown Libby her design, and when she came out, Libby was shocked to discover that Robin had the tattoo placed on the inside of her wrist, in plain view. It wasn't a picture, but a Chinese character. What does it mean? Libby asked her friend, staring down at the rather elaborate symbol. It's private. Private, she repeated. Hey, I didn't ask you about yours. Okay, Libby said she'd respect Robin's privacy. They walked back to the condo, and almost against their wills, they discussed how impossible it was to understand men. The males of species were the fickle ones. Women simply had a bad rap. Once inside the condo, they sagged into the sofa. Libby had cried. Oh, my goodness. I did not see tattoos coming. On Robin's shoulder about Philip, and she knew her friend was deeply discouraged in her own relationship, even though Robin hadn't filled her in on the details. You know what? Libby said, slouching forward on the sofa, because her back continued to pain her. Thankfully, she hadn't been able to see the needle. What? It seems to me that if I'm good enough friend for you to get a tattoo with, then you should be willing to share your tale of male woes. Robin hesitated and then shrugged. You're right. Libby sat up straighter. Sing it, sister, she said, slurring her words ever so slightly. She hadn't eaten much, and the liquor on an empty stomach had gone straight to her head. You probably know how I feel about Roy Bollinger, Robin whispered, almost if she were afraid to say the name out loud. Judge Bollinger? Go ahead and say it, Robin muttered. Say what? That I'm wasting my time and that he's out of my league and that I'm acting like I'm still in high school, pining over the star quarterback. How well do you know him? Libby asked. Not at all, really. We worked together on a political campaign years ago and have been on a couple of committees together throughout the years. His courtroom is down the hall from mine. He always makes a point of greeting me, and not long ago we met up at the fundraiser and we had drinks one night. I told him what happened with you at the interview, and I haven't talked to him since. Well, other than in passing. If Libby felt miserable before, hearing this made her feel even worse. Could it be that the disastrous interview had also blown Robin's budding romance with Roy? It hardly seemed possible that a man would lose interest in a woman over something that trivial. Oh, Robin, I feel terrible. Again, Robin shrugged as if there wasn't any big deal. I don't think that was it. Apparently, he just isn't interested enough in me to call me. You say you chatted with him at the fundraiser? We were in line at the bar and we talked. It wasn't like he sought me out or anything. What about when you went to have drinks with him? That was it. We both ordered a glass of wine, chatted briefly, and that was all there was to it. He hadn't called me since. I think I scared him off. Libby sincerely doubted that. What did you do? Robin looked as if she was about to cry. That's just it. I didn't do anything. I was almost afraid to talk for fear of putting my foot in my mouth. The thing is, I like him so much, and I'm uptight around him and probably send all the wrong messages. Libby chewed on her bottom lip. Okay, let's reason this out. You think I haven't tried? Robin asked, her voice high-pitched and panicky. What do you have in common, other than the fact that you're both attorneys and you both work in the same building? Robin rubbed her palms together. Well, we both like the same wine. Pinot Noir. Libby tapped her finger against her lips. What are you thinking? He asked. Did you thank him? Thank him? For finding a job lead for me. Well, sort of. Wouldn't a bottle of really wonderful Pinot be appropriate? I mean, he did you a huge favor. The least you could do is show your appreciation. Yes, but in fact, why don't I buy the wine? My treat for everything you've done for me. Robin's eyes rounded and then went back to normal. You really think I should give him a bottle of wine? Why not? Robin cocked her head from side to side as she mulled over the suggestion. Okay, I'll do it. Phone him, Libby insisted. She stood and retrieved the portable phone and kept it in the kitchen. Now it's after 9. Libby thrust the receiver at her friend. Trust me, he's still up. Do you have access to his home number? Looking a bit chagrined, she nodded. Libby was on a mission now. She had the feeling this was going to work out nicely for Robin. Very nicely indeed. If only one could find love, she wanted it to be Robin, especially after what Libby had done to mess things up for her friend. Robin retrieved her purse, which she had left by the front door, and brought out her cell. I have his information listed under my contacts. That's positive thinking, Libby said, and gave her a thumbs up. Wishful thinking, you mean? After pressing, immediately disconnected the line. I can't. Robin, Libby pleaded, gesturing with her hands. You can and you will. I'll call him myself. You wouldn't dare. Don't test me, Robin Hamlin, she threatened. Swallowing tightly, Robin tried again, this time turning her back on Libby as she waited for the line to connect. Oh, hi, Robin said. This is Robin. Oh, you recognize my voice, of course. We do talk now and again. Fine, fine. Thank you for asking. And you? Libby could only hear one half of the conversation, but she found even that half highly amusing. Robin barely sounded like herself. Clearly, she was tense and nervous and out of her element. Her friend walked to the far side of the condo and looked out the picture window. She seemed to think that if Libby couldn't see her face, she couldn't hear her either. I wanted to thank you, Robin continued. Oh, please, it would be my pleasure. No, I insist. Unless, of course, you'd rather I... Okay, sure. I was thinking about a bottle of wine. I could have it delivered. Libby tossed her arm in the air. The point was for her to take the wine to him herself. Apparently, Robin needed even more coaching in relationships than she did. Libby hadn't realized how much she had learned over the past few weeks. Yes, how thoughtful. Yes, I would enjoy that. Okay. Where would you like to meet? Yes, I know where that is. She glanced down at her watch. See you then. She ended the call and then very calmly turned around. He suggested we meet for drink. When? Tonight at 9:45 at this bar close to the courthouse. I've never been there, but I know her friend. Aren't you excited? I'm terrified. Robin, just be yourself. Now go home, change clothes, and then call me first thing in the morning. She assumed her friend would want to dash home and dress up in something sleek and gorgeous. Instead, Robin remained rooted in the middle of the room, looking lost and confused. I don't know if I can do this. Robin, do you want to get to know Roy or not? Her friend sighed and covered her face with both hands. Libby, she whispered, I'm terrified. I really like this man. I mean, really, really like him. And I don't want to blow it, and I'm so afraid I will. But Robin, come with me. Libby shook her head. You've got to be kidding. Bringing me along isn't going to help your chances with him. If you show up with a friend in tow, that will only confuse him. No, I mean it. I need you with me. Sorry. Robin had to do this alone. Besides, does he really want to meet the person who screwed up the job interview he arranged? Robin's mouth thinned. I don't think he'll make the connection, she said. And you owe me big time. Oh, all right, Libby muttered. But I need to change clothes. Hurry, we don't have all night. Okay. The next 30 minutes passed in a blur. Libby changed into slacks and a light sweater, and then she rushed to Robin's apartment. When she went through 3/4 of her closet before she decided on a peach-colored outfit that suited her beautifully. It's the first time I've worn it, she confessed on their way out the door. My mother gave it to me for Christmas 1 year, and I tossed it in the closet. It was Mom's way of telling me to get a life. Look at you now, Libby teased. You have a life. I have a life, a semi-life anyway. They were out on the town. Robin had a date, although she was determined to pay for the wine and was nervous. She needed Libby there to hold her hand. Baby steps. That's what this was, baby steps. They arrived a few minutes after the agreed time, and poor Robin was nearly in panic. Judge Bone already had a table. He stood as they approached. Otherwise, Libby wouldn't have known who he was. A high school football hero. That was the way Robin viewed the judge. He was short, a little pudgy, and balding. Beauty was definitely in the eyes of the beholder, she decided. This is my friend, Robin said, offering an introduction. I hope you don't mind that she joined me. Libby Morgan. Libby supplied the extended her hand. He shook it, seeming unperturbed. The more the merrier, ladies. Please sit. Robin nearly collapsed into her chair. The waitress stopped by the table and took their orders. 2 glasses of Pignol and 1 glass of Syrah Blanc for Libby. This is my first time here, Robin confessed. Actually, it's mine too, Roy said, and then added, since they changed the name, the business has been sold a number of times through the years. My first time too, but Libby could not see that neither one was listening to her. Sally and I, he hesitated. Sally was my wife. I lost her to colon cancer a couple of years ago. I am so sorry, Robin whispered, her voice quivering. Libby swore Robin was about to burst into tears. The poor girl really had it bad. Their wine arrived, and Libby took a few sips. She glanced at her watch. I don't mean to rush off, but Under the table, Robin grabbed Libby's knee and squeezed it so hard that it demanded all of Libby's strength not to cry out in pain. I suppose I could stay a while longer, she said between gritted teeth. Robin thanked by mouthing the words. Libby was glad she did stay. Over the next hour, Robin started to relax. The second glass of wine helped. When Libby next suggested it was time for her to leave, her friend did not object. Talk to you tomorrow, Libby said as she reached for her purse and stood. Right, Robin said. Libby planned to phone Robin first thing in the morning. Because it was a beautiful evening, as it often was in August in the Pacific Northwest, Libby decided to walk to her condo. Her lower back from the fresh tattoo, and she felt lonely and wished she could be with Philip. If she wasn't able to set matters straight, she supposed she'd get over him and move on with her life. But she really hoped it wouldn't come to that. What she felt for him, even after seeing him for so many days, was unlike anything she had experienced before. It was scary to think about losing him. If nothing else, a long period of unemployment had taught her she is a survivor. As she walked past the downtown area, known for its nightlife, she looked into several lounges. She had never gone by these places before, but maybe she should start. Then again, maybe not. This wasn't exactly the best place to meet potential clients. No sooner had the thought formed than Philip Stone stepped into the night. Libby saw him from across the street, and she stopped and stared. He was alone. Her heart skipped several beats. This was the opportunity she had been hoping for, the chance to tell him she was sorry and that she missed him dreadfully. Before she could catch his attention, the door opened again, and a tall, beautiful blonde stepped out, wrapped her arm around his waist, and smiled up at him. Libby stopped cold in her tracks. It certainly hadn't taken him long to find someone else. And that takes us up on chapter 24. Oh my, poor Libby. That is not what she expected to see, I take it. All right, guys, I'm going to get a quick drink, and then I will be right back with chapter 24. We are over halfway through the book. So, I will put my bookmark here, and I'll be right back. Stay tuned. The chapters this chapter seemed to be a little longer than the other. Chapter 24. Libby woke Saturday morning to the ringing of her phone. She pried open one and noted that it wasn't even 8 yet. Apparently, Robin was so excited she couldn't wait a decent hour to call and update her on her evening with Judge Roy Bollinger, the stud, the football hero, the man of Robin's dreams. You better have had the time of your life to be calling me this early, Libby grumbled into the receiver. Libby bolted upright, tossing the sheet aside as she recognized the caller. Ava! Did I wake you up? The girl lowered her voice as if she was afraid of being heard. Not really. I was just lying here thinking I should get up. Saturday was the only one day of the week when Libby allowed herself to sleep in. Even then, she rarely slept past 8. She tossed and turned for several hours last night, unable to get the picture of Philip and the woman he was with out of her mind. Pounding her pillow hadn't helped, and watched late television hadn't done any good either. As far as she could tell, she hadn't fallen asleep until sometime around 4. I'm sorry, but if I didn't call you early, then my grandma might have woken up and heard me. What Libby knew it must be important for Ava to risk phoning. A lady from social services contacted Grandma, told her that she wants me to go to the doctor and is making an appointment as soon as she can. Grandma told her I was just fat, but if the state wanted to pay for a visit to the doctor, she didn't care. But she wanted it understood that she wasn't paying because she couldn't afford it after Jackson went in for his physical so he could play sports. Libby didn't dare tell her that she and Lydia Goetz were the ones responsible for contacting social services on Ava's behalf. The sooner Ava got medical attention, the better. No one knew when this baby was due, probably not even Ava. Grandma got really upset and made me tell her again that I wasn't pregnant. I stayed in my bedroom all day Friday, afraid she would ask to see my stomach. She thinks I was the one who called the lady, and she got upset because she's afraid the state might think she's not taking good enough care of us and will send us to a foster home. That won't happen, will it? Oh, Ava, I'm so sorry. No, I'm sure the authorities will want you to stay with your grandmother. But, sweetie, your grandmother will need to know the truth sooner or later. Sooner is better. You won't be able to hide the pregnancy much longer. Other people will notice. I don't get outside much anymore. It's better that way. Libby had worried that was the case. The girl was locked up in her room most of the time anyway. This couldn't be mentally healthy. Can you come see me on Monday? Ava asked. Absolutely. Oh, thank you. Yeah, are you taking the vitamins I gave you? Libby asked. Yes, and I'm not adding salt to my food either. Good. I tried not to eat much at all. Oh, Ava, you need to take in enough food to make sure you and your baby are healthy. The fact that she was afraid of eating was another worry. Is there anything I can bring you? She had gotten Ava a book on pregnancy and some magazines to read, one she knew a teenager would enjoy. Casey had sent along a few books too. Apparently, Ava spent most of her time in her room reading. Could you get me some books from the library? She asked, again in a hushed voice. Of course. I'll be by after 10. Ava's grandmother was sure to have left for work then. Thank you, the teenager whispered, sounding close to tears. Ava, Libby said, feeling she needed to offer the girls some reassurance. Everything will work out. Don't worry, okay? We'll talk more on Monday. But until then, know that I'm your friend, and I'll do whatever I can to help you. I miss you and Casey, and Ava started to cry and then abruptly cut the connection. Libby felt dreadful for the teenager. Poor Ava. Contacting Child Protective Services had been the only way Libby could think to help her. Ava needed to see a doctor. It astonished Libby that the girl's grandmother couldn't see that she was pregnant. The pregnancy was becoming more obvious all the time despite Ava's attempts to hide it. Libby wondered if Ava's brother had figured it out, but he seemed far more interested in playing basketball than he was in his sister. And then there was the neighbor boy. Libby grew more and more suspicious that he was the baby's father. It certainly made sense. Ava seemed to care for whoever had fathered this child and was intent on protecting his identity. Anytime Libby brought up the subject, the young teen clammed up. Libby's Saturday started off with an unexpected phone call. And the one she expected didn't come until much later. At 10, Libby got tired of waiting and phoned Robin's. The phone instantly went to voicemail. Apparently Robin had been out late, really late. She tried again at noon and got the same result. Well, okay, she'd wait for Robin to get in touch with her. That didn't happen until almost 6 o'clock Saturday night. It seems like you and the judge had a great time, Libby teased. It was all right. Obviously, Robin was determined to play it down. What time did you get home? Early. It was 11 or so. Libby had left about 10:15, 10:30. So Robin and Roy must have stayed not too much longer. Oh, we talked a little. Robin didn't sound all that enthused. Perhaps the judge had been a disappointment, but that surprised Libby. He seemed very charming and likable. Are you seeing him again, Libby? Unsure how to pressure Robin for more information. Naturally, she's curious, but she didn't want to appear overly nosy. I don't know. He didn't ask. No? Oh, maybe the evening hadn't gone as well as she believed. You want to get together for a movie tomorrow? Maybe. Can I call you? Sure, Libby couldn't help but wonder what had happened. Clearly, something was up, but she couldn't imagine what. If I don't hear from you, then I'll see you at the gym on Monday. Oh, yeah, right. See you Monday. Robin sounded terribly depressed, and frankly, Libby wasn't in the best of spirits herself. She longed to ask what had gone wrong, but she hesitated, not wanting to overstep. Do you want to talk? She asked, hoping a little encouragement would help Robin open up. No, not now, her attorney friend muttered, and then said, maybe later, all right? I'm here for you if you need me. Libby understood she wasn't in the mood to discuss the fact that she had seen Philip with some gorgeous woman draped all over him. She tried to guess what might have gone wrong for Robin and the judge, and suspected that Robin had frozen up again. The poor girl had it bad. She didn't hear from Robin on Sunday, and she didn't show up at the gym on Monday either. Philip did, but Libby pretended not to notice. She caught him looking at her once, but quickly looked away, determined to ignore him. Clearly, he had moved on, and pride demanded that she give the same impression. At 10 sharp, Libby was parked outside of Ava's house. As soon as she turned off the engine, Ava appeared in the doorway. She raised her hand in greeting. Libby climbed out of the car and brought the bag of books and a fruit smoothie from the gym. She had kept it in the freezer at home before driving to Ava's, so it was still cold. To her surprise, Ava hugged her tightly once they were inside the house. The dear trembled and buried her face in Libby's shoulder. They sat down together, so close their knees touched. Libby reached for Ava's hands and held them in hers. I don't want you to be afraid of seeing the doctor. You need to do this. You're going to have a healthy baby. It's for you too, Ava. This is important. I know, but Grandma will be upset and I just can't do that to her. But she needs to know, Ava. Libby told her, not for the first time. That apparently wasn't the only problem that worried Ava. What if the lady from the state makes me tell her who the father is? I don't want anything to happen to him. She didn't finish the sentence and shook her head. Undictating, she was unwilling, and with anything more. Knowing how resistant Ava had been regarding the paternity, Libby didn't feel she could pressure her. Again, she suspected the boy next door, Jackson's basketball friend. Beyond Peter, she couldn't imagine, didn't want to imagine. Libby was fairly certain that Ava would tell her if she had been raped or abused. But then, maybe not. Why don't we cross that bridge when we need to, okay? Ava sucked in a deep breath. Okay, but I'm not telling. No one can force me to tell, right? Right. Libby decided to let it go for that moment. The girl was terrified enough as it was. Why are you so afraid of letting anyone know the name of the father? She asked. Ava hung her head low. Because he might go to jail and I don't want that to happen. The sex was consensual? If that means we both agreed, yes, then that's the word you said. Blushing, Ava looked away. Identifying the father wasn't important for now. Libby would let her see the social worker and get the answers to the difficult questions. Will you go to the doctor with me? Ava asked. If that's what you want. Libby had offered to be with her already, and she assumed the caseworker would also be present. But Libby didn't know that for a fact. I don't know if I can do this if you aren't with me. Ava squeezed her hand. I don't like needles, and I don't want anyone touching me there. I feel